Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And today we're doing the first episode of the new adult Masterchef show, which this season, which is season 14, is called Masterchef Generations. And what do I mean by that? That means they will have groups of people competing from Gen Z, which is Marco's generation, Gen X, which is, I think, 40 to 50-year-olds. It says 1965 to 1976. I had to look that up. I've never heard of Gen X. Millennials, which is my other son's generation, and baby boomers, which is my generation. So, and we also have, the judges will be Joe, Gordon, and Aaron.
Aaron.
Well, Aaron.
Aaron.
And, since today, or last night, they had a guest judge. I guess maybe they're going to do this for every episode, or maybe just this. These are called the audition episodes. And so they're auditioning. They auditioned last night for the millennial generation. And they had a guest judge named Priya Krishna. And they called her the fourth mystery judge. And I've never heard of her. She has put out 3 cookbooks. Okay, go ahead, Marco.
Well, I don't know where to begin. You know, last season was cringeworthy. MasterChef season 13 with the different states, and they really ruined that because, like,
I didn't care for it.
The Northeast people, they all got eliminated, like, in 2 seconds. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And then, like, they got rid of, like, the best chefs, and then they kept certain chefs based on, like, personal things.
I don't know what they kept them on.
This season seems like it is going to be the worst season of MasterChef overall, because right off the bat, I mean, even without watching the show, with watching the trailers, they're very, very mean-spirited, superficial. You can sense desperation of, like, we want viewers. And so we're going to make this generational crap where it's like, we're going to divide people based on their generations. And it's like, honestly, I don't care what generation someone is from.
I don't either.
I care about their cooking, and I'm sick and tired of, like, every single MasterChef season they have to have a stupid gimmick. And say what you will about MasterChef Junior, but that season was pretty good, especially the finale. It wasn't that good because it was really short and kind of like they were, like, playing it safe with how they were doing things, but it feels like that's how it should be. Like, if I'm going to get excited about watching MasterChef, it's not because I want to go on there and see, like, what's going to happen. Is a baby boomer going to win, or is a millennial going to win? No, I don't care.
I don't either.
I'm watching it so I can see the chefs cook the food they're going to cook and battle it out with each other. So...
And also, you know, their individual stories also maybe add something to it, too. Sometimes, not all the time.
They force them so much. Like, there was that one guy, he was Vietnamese and an immigrant, and I think he mentioned it so many times that if you took a shot every time he mentioned it, you'd die. And I think that, like, it's going really overboard to, like, milk the sympathy from the viewers.
Yeah, and he said it once, but it's almost like they encouraged it to say more. And to say it once, it was interesting. Yeah. And that's it.
But then
you don't need to go on and on. And if I thought it was interesting, we'll get to her, but they had a Ukrainian woman who said, I think she said it once, and nothing ever else was said about it again, which I thought was good because her cooking was, well, you'll see, it was pretty good. She's a perfectionist, but she comes almost at the end of the show. So, I just wanted to say they will win, the person who wins will win $250 million. I think that's what it was. Was that right? That doesn't sound right. Maybe it's two.
A quarter.
No, it's not.
No, it's $250,000.
Yeah, it's
I'm Chef
250,000.
Gordon.
I'm sorry. And a trophy. I'm sorry, I wrote too many zeros.
I'm Chef Gordon Ramsay. You're going to win $250,000. But first, you're going to have to wait for me and my friends to walk in slow motion through the doors as there's fireworks going up. Here, see, Safi?
Yeah.
And I pointed that out as soon as I saw it. And Safi was like, oh, God. Because she was like, oh, no, he was right.
Like they have to do that every time.
Every single
they did
time.
It for the kids, and now they're doing it for the adults.
It is so gay to do that.
And they gave out 5 aprons, just wanted to say, too.
Yeah.
But they had more than 5 people. But we'll go through it.
Well, I would say overall, I thought this episode was a big piece of shit. Like, I didn't enjoy a single second of it. I felt like this is not really a show that I'd like to watch at all. It wasn't enjoyable.
We're watching it.
Yeah, we're watching it, but it's just something like where if I didn't have to review it, I wouldn't watch it at all. I'd rather watch like the older seasons or Hell's Kitchen,
I don't
older
like
seasons.
Hell's Kitchen. But anyway, they had to. Each of the people trying out had to make, and it was millennials. Just wanted to make sure you understood that. They had to make their signature dish, and they would look for flavor, technique, and plating. And I think, for the most part, no matter if they won or lost, the plating was pretty good. So that seemed to be, they're all competing. Even if they don't make it, they all seem to be competing as best as they can. And another thing, I was not impressed with the guest judge.
I didn't like her either.
I don't know, maybe her recipes are pretty good, but I just thought she just kept going on and on about how millennials do this and that, and I'm thinking like, BS.
She could have been told to do that, though. She could have been told, when you come on here, since you're a millennial, please emphasize, like, millennials' strengths as people, like, because I thought she was very superficial and one-dimensional. She felt like a very fake person, and she didn't fit in with the other judges at all. So,
and she admitted, too, she'd never been on the show.
Yeah.
So, at least, she admits that she's,
it's just that I don't like these types of people who go on television and are like fake people. She was like a robot, and that's not what I want when I watch a cooking show.
Okay, well, we'll begin with the first person. It was a woman named Jeet, which kind of surprised me. Because we have a restaurant here in town named Jeet.
No, it's called Jeet India.
Jeet India, but I think when people say they want to go to Jeet's, they just say Jeet or Jeet's.
Well, I like Jeet India. I mean,
I do too. It's just weird. It was weird for her to be the first one. Like, my name is Jeet.
And we've had food from there one time only.
Well, I've had food from there other times.
It was really, really good. I think it was either goat or lamb curry. And I had the special yogurt drink that they made, and it was really, really good. So
the food from there is really good.
I really like Indian food.
Anyway, she grew up in New Delhi, and she is married to a Kuwaiti, and so she mixes those two flavors and cultures in the foods that she prepares, and I think she made some kind of dumplings, and they made a comment that in some kind of creamy sauce, and they made a comment as to that usually the dish that she makes is a dessert on a certain holiday for Indians, and but I didn't hear the holiday, and I didn't get all the ingredients, but she seemed to know what she was doing. Oh, I know. This was emphasized, especially by the guest judge after this woman admitted it. she made dumplings, and she made them using the, what is it called, air fryer, which I don't know if I would have done that. And I think that caused a little bit of a problem in the end too, as to how the dumplings were cooked. The flavors were there, and nobody complained about that, but they did complain. Even the guest judge said the dumplings were a little gummy to her taste, and and then somebody else, was it Joe, or I don't know who it was, but it might have been Aaron, who said that they were too gummy for his taste. So, but with all that, did she make it? Yes.
She's not going to win.
Yeah, I don't think she will either.
We're going to say that for every contestant, because, like...
Not everyone. There's a couple of ones I thought that looked strong.
I said what I mean is we're going to say whether we think they'll win or lose, like with everyone, like...
Oh, okay.
Make predictions.
I don't think she will either. And it's no offense to them. There's just something about them. And they even showed... Now, I went through it a little bit because... just at the beginning, because I didn't catch her name. And I wanted to make sure it was on there. And they... At the beginning of this show, I don't know if they'll do this for every one of them, but they showed scenes from upcoming episodes. And you saw her and some of the other people who were on last night. So you know who makes it. If you had if you paid attention, which I hadn't. But I did notice it the second time around. And so you see her and she looks all nervous and upset.
Yeah, we should also mention they had this stupid trailer at the beginning of the episode where, like, again, you can sense the desperation because they show almost every single episode or something of, like, clips from all the episodes coming up.
I think they do.
And it's like, I did not like that at all.
I didn't either.
They've been doing that a lot with TV shows recently, where, it's already bad enough that TV shows only have, like, 5 episodes a season. But then at the end of, like, the first episode premiere, they show a trailer, and it shows, like, clips from throughout the season coming up. And it's like, I'm really getting tired of that trend. It didn't make me excited for this season at all. It just kind of made me want to blow my brains out. Because it's so annoying. And it's so, like, I don't care about this stupid generations. I care about the food.
Right.
It's Masterchef. It's not Master Generations. I don't give a fuck about your stupid generation. Generations don't matter.
Okay, well, let's get on to the next episode. The next person.
Was that the witchy poo?
I think it is. There's one that comes in there.
She was a witchy poo.
I think that after this one, there's another one who was on there, like, very briefly.
They basically brought her on to make fun of her, which I think is kind of hilarious because she almost makes fun of herself.
She had her mother and her grandma with her, and they're witches. She called herself a kitchen witch, which is really weird. Like I've mentioned before in other reviews, I read the series of books about witches, and there's this other series, too, about kitchen witches, which I started reading it, and I didn't care for it, so I stopped. But she was very, I would say, eclectic, and so she talked way too fast. Her name was Lexi, but she just kept referring to herself as the kitchen witch, so, I mean, you almost could overlook her name. The only reason why I memorized or remembered the name is because in the show Chucky, of course, they have a character who's been on there now for the last 3 seasons named Lexi. So I'm not even sure. She made a vegan recipe, and I'm not. She had artichokes and cream cheese.
It was like a vegan chicken roulade, and she said this BS where, like, because I'm a witch and I'm casting my quote-unquote spells on the food, that means it's going to taste good. And so, like, she's so delusional that, like, she basically served them like a giant piece of crap on a plate. And she's like, yeah! She's like, ta-da! and she's like got her little cauldrons and things, and she's got these spices, and like she's basically a gimmick in human form. Like she is just totally transformed from a middle-aged woman into a living gimmick.
No, she's a millennial.
So that she can sell her stupid spices over TikTok and shit. Like, you know, she is probably one of the stupidest characters they have ever put on the show, which I think they did intentionally again. And it's kind of mean-spirited, too. And it's like, you know, I don't want to make fun of her, but they put her right in front of me, and so I'm going to take advantage, because there's nothing else to really talk about. I hated this episode. I hate this season. Okay, I don't look forward to the show at all.
Okay, well, she was actually very interesting as her hair. I'm not sure if it was all real, but she had this huge, thick, black hair with big bangs, and people have been talking about fake eyelashes lately, which is weird, because maybe that's a trend or something, but she was wearing fake eyelashes. When you can tell like that, it means they don't look right.
Really?
And then what happened was, as soon as she set her food down, they
ripped it apart before even tasting it. They were like, "This looks dried out. It looks like crap."
That was the millennial judge who said that. The guest judge who said that.
That was the only time I liked her, by the way. That was like her best moment.
That shocked me, but anyway, somebody said, and I didn't have who it was, said it wasn't cooked properly, and then Aaron was mad because it had I think this is the one. I don't see it. It could have been another one, so I won't say it for sure because I don't see where I wrote it down. But Joe had several interesting quotes. I wrote them down. And he said, quote, "That's one of the worst dishes I've ever tasted." So I don't know if he said that in front of her or not. I didn't look because I thought it was kind of uncomfortable, because when he says that, that's kind of like that's like the kiss of death. And so she got 3 no's, like bing, bang, boom.
Yeah.
And that was it with her.
Yeah.
So, because I should have said this, they either need 3 yeses or 3 no's. So when you've got 3 judges who go no, 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 it's over. So, we'll go on. That was it for her. She didn't get an apron. Okay, the next one we have is a Washington, D.C. lawyer. And she said, "Food feeds my soul while the law feeds my mind." And her name was Kame, or Kame. And I think of that soap, which I was wondering if she was named after it. You know, isn't there Kame soap? I don't think it's a very popular soap, you know, right now. But that used to be, got ads for it all the time on TV.
Kame?
Yep, Kame.
I don't know what that is.
And it's just like, it's like Ivory soap. And it's just a regular soap that you have in your bathroom. You wash your hands and your face, I guess, if you want. But she made a snapper fillet with pickled cabbage and jasmine rice, and she had put her job and her honeymoon on hold to try out for the show.
And she also said that multiple times,
yeah,
which was also cringeworthy, because it's
seemed kind of desperate.
That's your fault.
Which, I don't know, being a lawyer like that in Washington, D.C., I don't know if that's a good idea, even if it's just for a TV show for cooking, to sound desperate. I don't know, I just don't think it's a good idea. But
it reminds me of those people on Masterchef who are like, "I quit my job so I could be here. I've had a great job as like and I quit because this is Masterchef and I'm here to win." And they're just like, "Yeah, okay, let's taste the food now. The food. Well, right, Safi?"
Right. Well, she had made fish, and of course, Gordon has to say, Well, it better be cooked right,
Yeah,
you know.
that's why they have the saying, the proof is in the pudding. They don't say the proof is in your sob story. They say the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, I could just, that was the problem with her that I didn't care for. And I was surprised because she's a lawyer in Washington, D.C. My God, that would be a very difficult job. But anyway, she said she cooked the fish for 13 to 14 minutes. It was pan-seared. Excuse me. And then she popped it in the oven. Now, I don't know if Marco caught this. Everybody else said yes, but Joe, I think he was asked first. He said no because I think he said it had too much salt. I don't know and for Gordon, Gordon likes salt.
Yeah, Gordon has a fetish for salt.
I've seen it, and I've mentioned this before on his commercials.
I bet
this pan he likes.
And I bet he has, at home, how you have the salt and pepper shaker on the table? I bet he has a second salt shaker that he has right by his plate. So he can just constantly sprinkle salt. He's like, ooh, my water isn't salty enough. And then he just sprinkles some salt in his water glass, too.
Yeah, I would just think he would just, after even making his own meal, he would even have a shaker by his plate, and he would put even more salt on it.
He probably has a shaker by his bed, so he can wake up in the middle of the night and just sprinkle some salt down his throat. Like, oh no, I had a terrible nightmare that my frozen meals didn't do well, and then he just gets the salt and shakes it like, salt.
And I haven't heard anything more about. By the way, Travis Kelce is supposed to have some kind of frozen meal from Walmart too, like Chef Ramsay, but I haven't heard any more about it. I have to look it up. Now she got in, but I think it was by the skin of her teeth. I mean, it's just really.
Yeah. She's not going to make it.
I don't think she will either. She's too desperate. I don't know. And she just needs to stick to the law.
She's too boring.
There's a lot of competition in the law in Washington, but that doesn't matter. If she wants it, she will compete. Okay, well, there's one person who is fit in between her and another person who made it. And her name was Sari. And she made some kind of deep fried ham and croquettes, which to me sounds gross. Oh, this is the one I was thinking. Aron said I didn't think she was going to make it. It was real quick. They didn't focus much attention on her. She put a sweet potato puree on the plate with that, which I don't know why that wouldn't go with it, but I didn't mention everything that was on the plate because it was just a lot of it went blah, 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 blah. She went through real fast. So, but her name was Sari, and Aron said that sweet potato puree shouldn't even be on the plate. So I'm giving it a no. So if you can tell by the tone of this and the shortness of her presentation, or that they showed, she did not make it. So that was a non-apron person. Now the next person is Anna. And she is a Ukrainian woman who's married and has 2 daughters. And she's a tech director. I don't know what that even means. But
she's the one who's directing the robots to take over the world.
I don't know, because I just don't know what that means.
I just told you.
One of the things she made, and it to me it's very, for that part of the world, it's very apropos. She made pickled beets.
Yeah.
And some other things.
Which I would kind of like. I would kind of
like pickled beets.
I would like some European food now.
Yeah. And she, I couldn't catch everything she made, but it looked perfect. And I could tell she's a perfectionist, and they all were impressed with her. First, Joe said, quote, and this is so typical of him, I hope it tastes better, or I hope it tastes as good as it looks. So I thought she'd make it right away because I could just tell.
I think that she could get to the top 3 easily.
Yeah, we have to see the other, quote, generations. But
yeah, I think, and I would also like to mention first, I think she was one of the only people who didn't really talk about how she's in her whatever generation. So that was another reason why I thought she's probably like one of the better contenders, is because the generation thing is irrelevant to your cooking. So
and she's focused on the food,
yeah,
which is as it should be. And then at the end, Joe says, "This is someone who could go all the way."
yeah,
So when he says something like that, and he actually said this twice for this episode, so I thought that was interesting because he doesn't throw compliments around at all.
no, he just throws everything in the trash.
Yeah, he either throws it again. Well, I say Gordon likes to. They show
He likes to throw things.
He likes to throw things and kick things.
Yeah,
because he was a kicker.
because he likes
Like
soccer.
Yeah,
Aaron,
well, he was a soccer player.
Aaron just likes to. He likes to either fold his. He likes to either like fold his arms together or like pushes like hands together as he like criticizes. Like that's what he likes to do. Did you notice that, Safi?
I
Like, you know, that food was not very good, and he pushes his hands together and just like walks back and like bows his head, like he's like disappointed. You know, that's what he does. He's a head bower.
Well, so if you hadn't guessed it already, she made duck. That's what I put up here, duck, and put pickle beets and maybe a few other things. But she was very focused, and I mean, she looked like a perfectionist. Everything about her whole persona was perfection. Okay, so we'll see what happens during the show. Okay, the next person, I think his name is C, and he's the one who is a Vietnamese refugee. He came over with his parents when he was 3 years old. And he said it once, and then they kind of kept going on about it. But he made, actually, I think he made Vietnamese food.
Yeah.
And they liked it. Joe didn't like it. He made crepes, and he said they were bitter.
Crepes.
Well, they're supposed to be crepes. But anyway, and I think he said there was no seasoning in the fish. But the rest of them said yes.
Yeah.
And so he got an apron, but this is another one I don't think he'll...
I think he'll get medium of the way through. He'll get halfway through, and then the water will just rise too much over his head.
Yeah. But he, it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, but that's really worrisome to me, because, like, what kind of fish did he make? Like halibut or something? Because if you make a white fish especially, and it doesn't have any seasoning, like, wolf, like, no thanks, like, that is, like, the worst. Like, just white fish with no seasoning, ugh. Like, I'll take tuna with no seasoning, I'll take salmon with no seasoning. No way would I take, like, a white fish with no seasoning.
I don't know what he made in terms of that, but Joe, I mean, I don't have the exact quote, but he wasn't impressed with that, so. And he did say no, but the rest said yes. Okay. And we have one more guy. And this guy was Mike. And he's from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, what was interesting about what he did is that he made an Italian food, and you know who's Italian? Joe. And he is when somebody makes Italian food, he's a real stickler and can be a jackass and a meanie and everything else. But this guy, his mother had just died at the beginning of the year, which is really awful. And they had watched all the seasons of Masterchef together. And so she hoped, and he had hoped, that he would someday be a contestant on the show. So he was kind of trying really hard to fulfill this dream. And he got it. He's a contestant. He's trying out. And he made that homemade ravioli. I mean, he made the noodles, and he stuffed it with some herb goat cheese. It's herb goat cheese ravioli. So if you remember any episode of anything where they make the ravioli, you know how perfect the noodles have to be, and stuffing them has to be perfect, cooking them has to be perfect, and it did look really good. And but you know, they were all like, "Oh God, this better be good because Joe will, if he doesn't like it, none of the rest are gonna like it." And so they all tasted it, and Joe said yes, and so did the rest. And he was impressive. And Joe said, this was the other contestant that Joe said, this is someone who could go all the way. So that was it. 5 aprons, 5, quote, millennials. And baby boomers will be next week. And Lydia, do you know who Lydia is? That's Joe's mom. She's had a show on PBS for a lot of years. And my mom actually had her cookbook. She really liked her. She is going to be the guest judge next week. So that's it.
I give the episode
Come on.
FUCK space YOU. And Safi, what would you give the episode?
I'm not giving it that.
It's not the people. It's the way that they're doing it and emphasizing the generations. It's just completely like I was checked out by the end of the episode.
Well, but that is the one thing that I did not like is they're almost setting it up for people to be mean to each other.
Yeah.
And like compete based on whether one generation is better than the next, which I guess that's the purpose of the show. But I don't like that. I think that's stupid because you're like instigating a false, negative competition. And it's supposed to be about the food in the end. Because you know what? When it comes down to the end, it's just like in that last season. The Northeast, if you were really... And Joe was a real big proponent of the Northeast. Cause, you know,
he said nobody cares about the flyover states. They care about the Northeast people. That's what he said.
And that's just stupid. And that's the way it could be here, too. To me, it looks like they're just going to discount the baby boomers for some reason. And I'm really not understanding why Lydia's the judge. She's not a baby boomer. She's my mom's generation. I don't know what you call that. The greatest generation? The World War II generation? I mean, I don't know. So I don't get that. But I guess they had... I don't know. I can't even explain it. It seems like Joe would be the baby boomer person, but I don't know. I don't know, but I don't like it. I felt that negativity, and that's the thing about these two, who Joe said could be in the end or could be go far. They were very focused on what they were doing, and they didn't seem to care about this millennial crap or generations of any kind. So that's it. So I guess I'll give it a C because I didn't like that meanness and setting up false negativity and competition about things that don't matter in the beginning, and they really set it up too. And I thought it was a negative tone. I didn't like that for nothing. So that's it, everybody.
Oh yeah, and we forgot to mention at the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
They had this really weird thing that they shot where Gordon was in black and white or something.
Oh yeah.
And like that was weird too.
It was a pretend thing that it was a old commercial.
Yeah.
That was in black and white, and it was cooking. He had retro clothing on. It looked like 40s clothing. And he's cooking in the kitchen. I don't even know if they had any cooking shows back then. I know they had Julia Child, but I should look that up. When was the earliest cooking show? Because growing up, I don't remember. I was in the 40s, but in the late 50s, the 60s. I don't remember any cooking show ever. I don't remember any cooking anything. So I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, he did that, and so that was supposed to be something catchy and interesting, but it was dumb. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. Goodbye.
Bye.